Sound check. I would normally be able to squeeze through there. Yeah, look at that. Boom. Cheers. Good morning, my friends. Welcome back to Willie's Wheels, and I hope you're doing really well. Today is our first day commuting into London on the Scrambler, which is very exciting. So I thought I'd bring you along for the ride. If you haven't watched my first ride / collection video, that's already gone up on my channel, so go click the link below this video and check that out. I go through all the specs and, you know, first impressions, how it feels, all of that. This video is purely going to be focused on what is the XE like to commute on, ride in town, filter through traffic, how does it feel in an urban environment, which obviously, this being kind of a wolf in sheep's clothing, a fully fledged adventure bike in a retro styling, isn't necessarily going to be its sweet spot, but we'll find out. I'm actually really looking forward to this. I've done this commute on maybe 24 different bikes. The Street Scrambler, the Rocket, the Tiger, my Harley Sportster, and then the Sportster Scrambler. Lots of different styles of bikes, the Trident, Ducati Monster, lots of different styles of bikes. So we're going to see what it's like to go in on this, and hopefully it's good because I own it. A couple of things I am definitely looking out for is how hot it gets, particularly, this is all stock. Obviously it's got the Arrow end cans, but still got the cat in there, and I have noticed it is warm even on the motorway and stuff, so we'll keep an eye on that. And also these bars are really wide, so filtering is going to be fun. It is 10 o'clock, so it's not peak 8 o'clock rush hour time, so it should be pretty chill, but it's probably still going to be busy because we're going up the A3 into Wandsworth. See how it goes. So without further ado, my friends, let's go. Now, as I said, I have done a pretty comprehensive first ride, how it feels. Had this bike for about a week now, done a fair few miles, but mostly out and about, more of a countryside setting. So yeah, I've done almost 150 miles now, and so far, zero regrets. Absolutely none. This bike is amazing. So I'm really interested to see how it feels, as I said, commuting into town, doing the traffic stop-starty stuff, probably somewhere where, realistically speaking, Triumph did not intend this bike to live. Alas, lots of people do commute on adventure bikes. The amount of GSs I see in town is ridiculous. So we're going to be weighing it all up, really, comparing it to my past experience. As you can probably see, it's a classically gloomy English day. There's a low mist in the air, and it's actually weirdly still quite warm despite all of that. We're at the end of November now, and I'm still in my summer gloves, which is really quite bizarre. There's still some leaves on the trees and stuff, so I guess we're seeing the effects of climate change. But I'm super glad that this has entered my life at this stage of the year. Already I'm feeling the benefits of a bit more protection from the engine, from the wind, especially on the motorway. It's by no means a big fairinged up cruiser, but compared to my Sportster, it's a much comfier place to be. Now, as well as a swathe of riding modes to choose from when you hop on in the mornings, with the XE, over the XC, you've also got a gyro, I think it's called a gyroscope. Basically it's a lean angle sensitive ABS and traction control, so when you're on a bit of a greasy road, it's pretty greasy in some parts today, cornering round a tight roundabout, or cutting in and out of cars, the ABS and the traction control are sensing the angle of the bike and adjusting accordingly, which is actually really reassuring, and obviously designed for more spirited riding and stuff. But I guess for me, knowing you've got all of that tech kind of just ticking away in the background is really, really very good. Now, one thing I'm loving so far with this bike is just the amount of torque you've got on tap. The 1200 HP engine is basically tuned for low torque from all the way at the bottom of the rev range to the top. It doesn't kind of kick in at any point, so it's very predictable, very reassuring. And when you're tweaking in and out of these different riding modes, nothing really catches you, or hasn't caught me by surprise yet, which is great. So again, another tick there for actually commuting on this bike is when you want to punch it and just get past someone, all you got to do is twist the throttle. Doesn't really matter what gear you're in. And I've heard second gear wheelies are a thing, so whoa, that'd be fun. So here we go, torque. Woo! Done. Lovely. So this road, if you've been following my channel, I've explained in previous videos when I broke my coccyx, and they've actually patched it up. Well, they tried to anyway. Just here, see there? The huge dip in the road, and I was doing about 55, hit the dip, no suspension travel on my Sportster back in the day, and I snapped my coccyx, my tailbone snapped. That was one day before my baby son was born. And while he was in ICU, I had to spend 40 minutes every single day on my bike to visit him with a snapped coccyx. So that was fun. So on that note, something I'm already noticing and loving is how this bike just soaks up the bumps. You almost don't even think about it. Before, I'd be trying not to tense up when I see a pothole, because my Sports had incredibly hard suspension, even with the big burly 15-inch forks and spongier tyres and all that. It was pretty rough, and it would shake you to bits, which is part of my motivation for getting rid of that. And if you want to know the story of the Sportster and why it's no longer with me and why I'm on this, check out my previous videos. I've done a video kind of just talking through why I got rid of one of my dream bikes. Now on the Scrambler 1200, you've got 6 gears, you've got cruise control, and it's very, very comfortable sitting at 70 in 6th or even 5th, which is lovely for these little stretches of dual carriageway where you're up to speed. It's a very pleasant and enjoyable environment. It just feels incredibly refined. Cheers, boy. Now I think actually we're going to get quite lucky with the traffic here, because as I said, it's now 10:15, and normally at 8 o'clock this will be queued all the way up and you have to be weaving in and out in the tight sections. So I think we're doing all right this morning, which is good. Wind protection wise, on roads like this, you're riding effectively a naked bike here, compared to something like a Tiger or a GS, any kind of adventure touring bike with a front fairing. It's going to feel very exposed. So if you're coming from a big tourer, or to be honest, anything with a fairing and a wider engine or a big tank, you're going to feel the difference massively. Obviously, I've come from owning a naked bike, but I've ridden a lot of different adventure bikes and tourers and things like that, and there is a noticeable difference for sure. You can't deny it. As it comes from Triumph new or whatever, standard, there's no fairing. Actually, there's nothing behind this clock at all, which a lot of people put a little a tiny little deflector there. So you do feel exposed, and especially now in the colder months, this wind that's hitting you, it's not particularly refreshing. You want to make sure you're thermaled up for sure. It also means when you're behind cars, and I'm sure in the winter you'll feel this a lot more, the grit and the grime, stones and stuff that get flicked up, there's no protection for your knees. So actually just then behind that Volvo I felt a stone come up and hit me in the shin. So the bike's doing you no favours whatsoever there in terms of actual protection physically, but also wind protection. So if you're used to palatial wind-free motoring, you're probably not going to enjoy it, let's put it that way. But one plus I always find of naked bikes is it's just pure wind. You don't get any buffeting or anything. There's no screen to mess about with the aerodynamics and stuff. And I personally don't mind. I wear thermals apart from in the hot summer, and as long as you got a good jacket on, yeah, you get used to it. It's all right. It is hard when someone rides a bike like this and criticises its lack of protection, because it's not even claiming to have any. So I wouldn't really call it a downside. It's just definitely something to consider if you're particularly sensitive to the effects of the wind on longer rides and stuff. You're either going to want to look elsewhere or look into aftermarket fairings and stuff. There's actually quite a nice range of bits. Tech Bike Parts do a big fairing with like a GPS mount, which is very cool. I believe that's them. There's Unit Garage as well. They do a really comprehensive like front fairing, front windshield kit, which isn't cheap, but I think if you're doing mega miles on this thing and you want to be just chomping miles down, it's a good option. Definitely changes the styling though, and I'm not personally a fan, but it is what it is. Love the smell of fresh tar in the morning. These still have the stock Metzler Torrance tyres on. In fact, actually the front's a brand new tyre from when I picked it up from Bulldog, and I'm actually really enjoying them. They're the same as the ones on the Street Scrambler, and it's very smooth actually. When you're at high speed or on smooth or rough tarmac, you don't feel like you're getting shaken apart. Very nice. Right, so welcome to the A3 in the mornings. Now is time to test how we filter. For a large capacity bike, it's actually feels very light and maneuverable, and I found actually even moving off the pavement outside my house and stuff, it is quite top heavy, but it's very maneuverable. You've got a good amount of steering lock in the forks, which makes stuff like this, it doesn't feel like you're on a behemoth. It's not like you're pushing a Rocket 3 around. It's very impressive, and that's probably partly thanks to these little scallop bits in the tank. You can get full lock on. Now, quite a big difference I'm noticing already physically is how wide these bars are, but also how high up I am. I can see over saloon cars, which is epic, but yeah, definitely I'm definitely feeling the change in bar width. I would normally be able to squeeze through there. Another thing is sound. On my previous bike was by no means quiet in any shape or form. So people a few cars ahead would be aware of my presence from quite far off, and actually you'd find people getting out of the way for you, which is a big plus, especially if you're doing this every day. This gets old real quick. And you can see already, I'm sure, that scooter up there, has managed to wind his way a lot further than I have already. Nice little crackle in between these cars though. So yeah, my bars actually, I think are clearing a lot of these smaller cars. I can fly over these bars. I think because I'm so much higher up now. Yeah. It's just these vans you got to watch out for. So now my handguards are at the same height as a kind of a Transit or a Vito. So if you're filtering in between smaller saloon or family cars, I'm going to be flying straight over those mirrors, which is awesome. Now, of course, the XE, being much more tuned for off-road, has got wider bars, quite significantly wider bars than the XC. So you might find that if you're in and out of town and you still want to go Scrambler, the XE is going to be a better option, because you're going to have that little bit extra wiggle room to get in between these cars. The benefits of these wider bars off-road you're going to feel, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing in any way, but right now it's slowing me down somewhat. Yeah, I'm clearing all these mirrors actually, which is cool. Yeah, look at that. Boom. Cheers. It's an incredibly stable bike. I feel very confident even a few days into owning this. At low speeds, it feels like it wants to stay upright. And it's the source of all of our grief. A lot of people talk about the height, and yes, this bike is tall. So am I. So it's actually quite nice to have a bike that I'm not crunched up on. So I'm 6'3", longer leg. But I'm able to flat foot the bike at a standstill with minimal effort, and moving between these cars and stuff at 2 miles an hour feels absolutely fine. No worries at all. I think if you are shorter, you're going to want to think about look at that torque. You can just go. See ya. You're going to want to look at the lower seat. They can do a lower seat. You can go custom. I've seen people slim down the seat massively. Or just think about the XC, because that is a lower bike by quite a few millimeters, and that will make a difference to kind of how it feels at a standstill and at low speeds and stuff. But that was fine. In a similar way to how I felt when I test rode the Pan America, where you feel like you're floating on a cloud above everyone, this thing has a very similar vibe. It's a really commanding seating position. You're sat very comfortably upright, and being so high off the ground, I can see over cars. Thank you. I can see, from a safety point of view, I can see hazards developing further ahead than if I was on a bobber or something. So I'm hoping you can feel the perspective. The camera's kind of mounted where my mouth is, so my eyes are a little bit higher. But if you look at this X1, for example, it's not a small car. I can see over the top of that bonnet, which is actually awesome, especially in town. Potholes, people, foxes. It's really useful actually to be able to see ahead. So that's a big plus for me, I'd say. This is also the first bike that I can no hand on, and I'm not sure why. Like, immediately I just felt comfortable. It might be my seating position or something, I don't know. But a lot of my mates can literally just get on a new bike and ride it no hands. I'm not advocating for that, obviously. But sometimes when you're just cruising to a stoplight like that, it's nice just to give your arms a bit of a break. and I've never ever been able to do it on any other bike apart from this one, which is weird. Just feels so well balanced. In terms of the seating position, as I said, you are nice and upright. For me, these higher bars are in the perfect spot for my arms. Sometimes on faster roads, on kind of more naked bikes, you feel like you're really like hanging on, but these bars just sit in a really nice position where it feels very natural for your arm. There's like a slight bend in your elbow, which means you've got enough purchase to crank in some steering or flick the bike. And my legs are hugging the tank nicely. I kind of feel like it is more top heavy, I think, than other bikes I've ridden, and that's probably because of how much I weigh and how high I'm sat up on the bike. But I do feel in control. I'm not in the bike at all, but I don't feel like I'm just a passenger on the top. Also, it's a very nice ergonomic, and I think probably a design that suits me the most out of a lot of the bikes I've ridden. And I go into more of that on my first ride / collection video, which you can find on my channel. I've got lots more content, especially on this bike, a lot more content coming, mods and adventures and trips and stuff, but I also managed, thankfully, to ride a lot of different bikes. So if you're interested in motorcycles, especially Triumphs and kind of modern classics like that, just hit the subscribe button, because there's a lot more content available on my channel, and there's a lot more coming as well. Just I'm hoping to get out on some big trips next year, now that travel's a lot more certain, and working with a few brands to get out and away and have discussions with people and try out different types of bikes. So yeah, if you're interested, I'd really appreciate your support. Keep this thing going. You can hit the like button, and also hit subscribe if you're interested in more. I'll be doing a longer term review of this thing. Of course, nothing is perfect, so I'm sure over time and with a bit more miles under my belt, I'll find things that hopefully is useful information based on the bike. Yeah. I've gone the wrong way. I've gone the wrong way. Right. Having done that epic road trip through France, I just realised I needed something that's just more comfortable on a longer journey, more capable, definitely capable as well for some trail riding. I'm not like a hardcore off-road rider, but something that I can just get on the twisties, get on some tracks. Hopefully, if we can get to Scandinavia next year, you know, explore some of the forests and stuff. So I was really looking for an all-rounder bike, something that I can chuck luggage on and stuff. And really, all roads in that regard point to the infamous GS. But having toyed with the idea, I'm just not ready for it. I think I'm too vain. Nah, there's always time to get a GS, but I thought yeah, this kind of fit the bill really well. It's an incredibly capable off-road machine. It's got enough power to sit at, you know, on the autobahn at silly speeds happily. It's got all the kind of mod cons that you'd want: cruise control, heated grips, rider modes, but it just looks and feels like an exciting bike to ride. And that's a huge part of riding for me, is getting on a bike and it feeling special, and you know, equally getting you places, but also being able to enjoy that journey along the way, or, you know, go down to a nice coffee shop and enjoy looking at your bike parked out the front. And for me, traditional adventure bikes, all their fairings and screens and stuff, just didn't fit that bill, and I'm not ready to let that go yet. So here we are, my friends. So yeah, this is kind of It's kind of that happy middle ground, and I think so far it has been so significantly impressive. I gotta go right, cheers. It's such a mysterious day today. I'm really enjoying it. It's cool. It's not very often you see the Thames, or don't see the Thames. Look at that. Cockpit wise, I was really impressed with this screen when I rode the Rocket through France, and actually the amount of information they can pack on a small TFT without having to go like 7-inch whatever is really impressive. So this is straight off the Rocket, shared with that family of bikes, and I love it. It's clear. It's got some nice design features. The little gear cogs, so when you change gear, the gears shift. Like Kronos or something. But it gives you all the information you need. It's really clear. Was that a little pop? Did you hear that? Naughty. So as I said, low speeds, I'm not panicking on this bike. It's super stable, and it is one of those motorcycles that just feels like it just wants to stay up, even at super low speeds. It's very enjoyable in town, and it's actually quite surprised me, if I'm honest, right now. You know, on paper it's a heavy bike, 200 kilos plus before you put fuel in it, a parallel twin 1200cc engine and me on top, and it's nimble, and I guess thanks to that big front wheel, it's got a good turn in, it's not sluggish at all, which really pays dividends off-road and also up smoke. Now, one big downside of this bike for commuting is definitely the value and I guess street value of it. Means I'm very reluctant to leave it, you know, just toss it outside a cafe and leave it for a couple of hours. This bike looks expensive, it is expensive, and it has cost me a lot to insure. I live outside of the centre of London, and my Sportster insurance was £250 a year, and when I went to change my quote with my existing insurer, the best they could do was £2,500. And actually I've ended up spending £1,000 a year to insure this thing, which obviously I was honest about the fact that I come in and out of town, it's not parked in a garage, blah blah blah, but yo, that's expensive. And that's because unfortunately in the last couple of years thefts of Triumphs have skyrocketed, and really sadly quite a few people I know from the online like bike community have had their bikes nicked, which sucks. So I do feel a little bit nervous about leaving this thing in Central, just because of how annoying and lame people are thinking they have to nick bikes. For a stock exhaust though, it does sound pretty good. And that's something I've found with these Triumph Retros, like the Street Scrambler and stuff, is they've actually done really well to get around like the emissions requirements and stuff, and still have a bike that sounds good. If you're interested in an economy, I've averaged 54 miles to the gallon, which is very good. Sound check. That doesn't sound bad, you know. Alright, I need to find where I'm going, so I'm going to leave it there. Initial impressions, first commute. Yeah, man. Good decision. If you're pinging it out of town, this is a very capable bike, which I'm not surprised by at all. But yeah, that was really an enjoyable little commute in. Lovely soundtrack. very capable, very nimble. The only thing I watch out for is how wide these bars are, but it's not designed for commuting, so no complaints there from me. I can actually now see why they've made the XC. If you're in and out of town every day, or you live in town, or you know, you want something a bit more road urban focused, go XC, because you get those narrower bars, a bit more tuned for the road. I'm a happy boy. This has been epic. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please do give it a like, a thumbs up, hit subscribe if you want more content. There's plenty more of this bike that's going to be coming. And yeah, thanks for stopping by. Let me know what you think in the comments of my purchase. I'm personally very happy. Thanks for watching as always. Hope you guys keep safe, and I'll see you soon.